Good morning, Daryl Ryder, in for Anthony Lima.
Hello, Ken.
Lima has texted me already this morning.
Big surprise.
Is on his way to Dayton, and I'm reading this for a reason here. He wrote, "Have a good show. You really make me laugh every morning, and it's a great start to my day. You and Cup of Joe." And now that I know he's listening, he really upset me yesterday afternoon. Evening. It was 6:20 when he called into afternoon drive. I'm going to tell you why. First off, he spent 10 minutes talking about Ohio State. You guys want to sit there and break my stones over loving Dale Earnhardt and wanting to talk NASCAR and Dale Earnhardt all the time. And Lima talks about Ohio State's men's basketball team for the first 10 minutes of his hit with Nick and Jonathan. I'm going, I'm sorry, both things have been dead for years. I don't know what's the difference. So I don't understand why I can't talk about Dale Earnhardt, an icon, and you can talk about Ohio State men's basketball. I don't give a damn. Yes, Owen, I'm sorry. I forgot.
I was just going to ask, was he talking about the current Ohio State men's basketball or 2004?
You should have seen, you should have heard it. If you care at all, it's there. You can use the free rewind function on the free Odyssey app, and it's powered by Integrated Restoration, your local experts in water, fire, and storm disaster restoration. He was a storm, and he was a disaster yesterday evening when he called in. And then he made me mad because what he did, he wouldn't remember it, and you weren't here, Daryl. Owen was. Last week on Friday, Danny was in for Tone because Tone doesn't work Fridays anymore.
I remember that because I was on with you both on Friday.
That was a cheap shot. I didn't mean the last one about Tone on Friday. I didn't mean that one. Okay, so Daryl, you may remember this on the hit, but this was with Danny. I had said I was kicking around a theory about Myles Garrett. And Danny and Owen started trying to goad me into it. And I'm like, no, I got to work it out. I need some time. I got to work it out. No. I'm not going to ruin my day on a Friday because people are going to hear it and they're going to get mad and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And part of the reason is that a couple of weeks ago, when did the story about the Browns wanting to be able to trade 5 picks
during
the year? Okay, it was during the combine.
Yep.
So that was a couple weeks ago. All right. So when that story first broke, that there was a resolution proposal where Cleveland wants to, this is courtesy, I just saw this from Adam Schefter yesterday, okay? It says Cleveland wants to allow draft selections to be traded up to 5 seasons in the future. And I brought up a working theory of how I was thinking. And Lima a few weeks ago goes, hey, man, you go ahead and you say that on the air and see how the rest of your day goes. Go right on ahead. If you want to, go right on ahead. Like he gave that ominous warning. And really, he scared me out of it. Because I'm going, I'll say it, but I have to have my ducks in a row before I go ahead and spout it off. I can't just spout it off because then it just becomes a vomit of words, and we've accused other guys. That's how you end up flip-flopping. That's really how you end up flip-flopping. You don't think about it before you say it, and you say it, and then all of a sudden you have to answer for it. And yesterday, it came out again, Adam Schefter, and I'm glad because I sent it to the group, and Daryl, you're like, this came out a couple weeks ago. I was like, oh, yeah, I know. And I knew what was going to happen, and it happened. And this is why he plays the long game, and this is why he's the slipperiest of wizards. Because he knows what he's doing. He is as duplicitous as anybody could find. It's part of what makes him brilliant, I'll admit it. And I know he's listening to every single word now, so whatever, erase or phrase, fine. He knows the number. I don't need to throw it out there for him to do a back call. He talks me out of it a couple of weeks ago. Quickly. Daryl and Danny, Owen and Danny really try to get it out of me on Friday. I'm like, no, I'm not doing this on a Friday and then have an answer for it. I'm very protectionist on Fridays, with the exception of coming in hot, because anything that's ever happened bad happens on a Friday. So I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then I hear him call into Nick and Jonathan yesterday, and I'm like, you took it. You took what I said. You took it. So now what he's going to do, this is why he plays the long game. He knows this is in my head, so he knows I'm going to rush to some other crazy theory in the future. And when I rush to that crazy theory in the future, he and Owen and Keith and Joey, because Joey will make a video of it and get me just drugged through the street on social media, what will happen is that they will take advantage of it and they will be able to box me up and put me in a corner and have me saying things that I don't want to say because I'm angry. That's what they will do.
Oh,
that's how he
happens
plays
to you
You're
football.
going to
too?
blame the words that come out of your mouth on everyone
yes,
else. Okay.
because I'm mad. Because
Okay.
what he said, what I listened to on the free Odyssey app, what I heard was what I said 2 weeks ago. It's what I said 2 weeks ago. Why do they want to give up 5 years of picks? Well, everybody goes, oh, gosh, it's got to be Arch Manning. Well, everybody thinks Arch Manning, which I don't think it's as easy as that. Okay? You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. All right? Let's roll up our sleeves and let's get nuts, Daryl. So I'll explain my side, and we'll see where you guys all stand on it. I'm going to come out with it, even though I think it's still a bit half-cocked. But you know what? It's time. It's time to say it. So a couple of weeks ago, Combine, story comes out again. Here we are. I wasn't necessarily just thinking Arch Manning. It's the easiest thing to say Arch Manning. We know the history of Arch Manning, or we know the history of the Manning family. You can't just say, well, I'll give you 5 years of first-round picks, Cooper Manning and Archie, Granddad, and everybody else can go, okay, who's it going to play with? We're not playing for you. I use the term we. It's happened before with the Suns. We understand all this. We're not going to play for you. And I think the Haslams know that. They know them. So just giving up 5 years of first-round picks is not going to – I think they have money. They have time to wait. You want a guy who wants a challenge, but you don't want a guy who's like, this is insufferable. 5 years. Like everybody's assuming, well, they'll give up 5 seasons of first-round picks for Arch Manning. And I'm like, I don't think the Browns want to do that, and I don't think that he wants them to do that.
I don't think that's the premise of the proposal either.
Okay. So are you going to steal it from me too?
No.
I'll let you say it. Go ahead and say it. Okay, what's the premise of the proposal?
I think what Andrew Berry wants to do is what you see have happen in the NBA.
Yes.
Where, to take what you just said about Arch Manning, the trade wouldn't be 5 straight years of first-round picks. It would be, we'll give you our 2027 first-rounder, our 2028 first-rounder, our 2030 first-rounder, and maybe our 2032 first-rounder.
Yeah.
So that you don't get in a situation like you had with Deshaun where you had to sit out the first round for 3 consecutive years.
Yes.
So you can still give up the 3 first-round picks, but without sitting out, I should say, the first round 3 straight years. That's what I think. That's what I think the premise of this idea is.
You're a smart man.
And we're seeing this in the NBA. I mean, every time the Cavs make a trade, they're giving up a 2032 second-round pick that nobody cares about.
You're
right?
a smart man. You're a good man. You're thorough. It's all true. This is where Miles gets brought into it. Because a few weeks ago, and it's going to come out again, obviously, you get the opinion shows out. Mike Tannenbaum, that was just the latest one. You know, what do the Lions got to do to get Myles Garrett? And as long as he's on a bad football team, people are going to toy with the notion of trading for him. And we all jump to the same line. Andrew Berry made the worst trade in NFL history. He's not going to turn right around and trade away arguably the best defensive player. By the time it's all said and done, maybe the best defensive player in NFL history. He's not going to just jump out and do that. However, and plus, the salary's got to match up. You have over $100 million in dead cap if you were to trade him now. But that gets cut in half going into next year. And so I was thinking, it's not that the people are wrong who say these things, because a lot of us think the Browns are – there are some people out there who think that we're nuts and they're going to win 10, 11 games. Okay. Most of us think they're going to win –
5.
I'm willing to go 6. Wow, you win 8. That's
between 5 and 8.
Listen to this guy. Whoa, Mr. Positive, Mr. Glass Half Full over here.
No, because they felt like, and part of the reason they fired Kevin was they blew the opportunity to win 7 or 8 games this past season,
That's fair.
even though
That's
they
fair.
could barely score 17 points a
Fair.
game.
Good point. So most of us think they're going to win 5, 6 games. All right? We're going to start that conversation up again. It's not just about Arch Manning, but now you see where it is. Well, do I have to give up? Everybody jumps to the 5. I totally agree with you. It's not about giving up 5 years of first-round picks for Arch Manning. It's about, you're going to have to give up something to go up and get Arch Manning, because it doesn't seem like a team that's going to be able to go out and get that number 1 pick.
And by the way, what I saw from him last college football season, I don't know that I'm that crazy about jumping up for Arch Manning at this point.
We'll find out you're right. We'll find out what happens. I love the second half of the season. And that bowl game against Michigan, I was like, oh boy,
I'll give him that one.
I'm feeling things emotionally here that The video from the guy in the end zone when he goes on the touchdown run, I go, oh, God, I'm falling in love over here. Don't look me in the eyes. So I'm thinking, yeah, no, it's not where fans – it's not where the guys who say these things – they are trying to get through segments, obviously, but it's not where they say it is they're wrong.
I think they're wrong.
See, I think they're early. Because when you get to $55 million and you're thinking, all right, at 30, 31 now, where does that add up? And if they're saying, well, you can't get 3 first-round picks. You know, Elliott Wolf said they were looking for 3 first-round picks. You're not going to get 3 I don't think the Browns really shopping him, but maybe it started at 3 first-round picks.
Well, if you're these other teams, after Miles takes a blowtorch to you at the Super Bowl, you start calling the Browns. Of course, Andrew Berry's going to ask for the Godfather offer.
But you're looking at it.
He's not doing his job if he doesn't.
But you're seeing it is, all right, you call me up. Say you're the Eagles. Let's just do the Eagles thing again, right? You're the Eagles. Okay, you're going to give me a first-rounder this year, okay, because I got to get my first-rounder back because I'm giving it all up. Say they want to go after Arch Manning, all right? Play it out. It might be about Arch Manning. Probably is to a degree, right?
You're talking this time next year.
This coming 27. You're going to give me your first-rounder, but you're probably going to be a good football team, so it ain't going to matter that much.
It's going to be in the 29 to 32 range.
And then later on, and probably Howie Roseman won't do this, so it's probably a bad example because it's the Eagles, but I'm just using a team that's been interested in the past. You're going to give me the first-round pick in 2027, and then we're going to mix up the picks, and I want another first-round pick in 2030. Because by that time, we should have some things together. Arch should be doing pretty well. Imagine what this team is by 2030. We're in the draft. Arch is playing well, and I got 2 first-round picks because of the trade that we made with Myles Garrett 4 years ago when Myles was still at his prime, still at his zenith, when we were in a competitive football team. Because if the Browns do what a lot of people think they're going to do this year, whatever quarterback they take is probably still not going to be going into a great situation. Probably still going to be going into a situation where they're going to struggle again in 2027, but it'll be more palatable because you hopefully have a franchise quarterback that will help raise that tide of your football team. So I don't think it's just about Arch Manning. I think it is about protecting some things and maybe being able to make a move, but I also think it's what you can get back in the future if you were to press the nuclear option and go, all right, it's a $55 million dead cap hit. We're away from the Deshaun Watson after June 1st going into 2027. You would know that much better than me. We can swallow this terrible, terrible, terrible pill for the year. Have to part ways with the player of the generation, which, again, this is much easier said on sports talk radio in March of 2026 than it is in real life, for crying out loud.
And then they set up the team for 2029 when Brook Park opens.
All that said, I don't think there's a chance in hell that the rest of these other NFL teams agree to such a thing. Do you think that they have a chance to do something like this?
Judging by the reaction that I saw on social media yesterday, from people still in the league and people no longer in the league, I don't think this proposal gets approved. I think eventually it'll get approved, but I don't think it's going to get approved this time.
You think it eventually will happen?
I think eventually it will.
Okay.
But like this time right out of the gate, and also because it's the Browns proposing it, like if this were like the Dallas Cowboys proposing it or the Philadelphia Eagles or the Patriots, I think it'd probably really have a chance to make it on the first go. Something this, I don't want to say, well, it is pretty drastic. Something this significant when you're talking about altering the draft selection rules, right, and what you can offer in trades. I think this is not something that gets done in an offseason. I think that this is something that they're going to mull over, and it's going to get hashed out in the coming months and years. This isn't something that's going to get approved right away. But it's a brilliant proposal by Andrew Berry. At first, I thought he was nuts. But the more I thought about it the last couple...
Oh, is he playing 4D chess over here?
Well, the more I thought about it over the last couple weeks, and then I read the language of the actual proposal last night, I'm like, you know what? Maybe Andrew Berry isn't looking to do something really stupid and irresponsible again, like another Deshaun Watson trade. Maybe he's trying to goad another team into doing something really stupid and really irresponsible.
Yeah, I want to ask Mary Kay coming up at 8:20 this morning if the Browns are already thinking about Arch Manning. I know a lot of people went and they jumped to that conclusion here with what had happened, with the possible rule change that the Browns have put up. I don't think, for the record, I agree with you. I don't think it would happen this year. I'm surprised that you said that it would happen at all, honestly. I thought, and I know Nick had mentioned this. I think he mentioned this. I think I agree with him. I'd rather go the other way. I'd rather not have to go into the future. I'd rather pull back on it. Having 3 first-round picks, I'd argue about it. I go, well, look at your fan base. Look at how your fan base has felt. I mean, you had 3 years and no first-round picks, and your quarterback was terrible. And so they really had, they had one glimpse of fun with Joe Flacco.
Right.
And then that was it. And then the rest has been, the only other time they had fun was when somebody else was playing QB other than the guy you gave up the 3 first-round picks for. You want to give up more picks? You want to entice everybody else into poor decisions? I don't think that's a good idea. In fact, I think for the good of everybody's fan base, I'm going to take it away. You can only trade 2 years of first-round picks, or hell, maybe even 1 year of first-round picks. We're not doing this. We're not doing this.
You want Ted? You want Andrew Berry?
I want the opposite of Stepien. I want the Carmen rules now, because it's all fun in theory, and then we have to live through 3 years. And it would have been great had they'd been good, and they were good for a year again when he wasn't playing. Right. So when you have a fan base that's been put through the ringer like they are, and people can say whatever they want, with all the changes that are going on, the fan base has changed too. Now, Dare has something to get off his chest at 640. Let me get this off my chest. You know damn well this fan base has changed. This fan base is as cynical as I've ever found them, and personally, I get nervous about that for a multitude of different reasons, okay? Because before, you could go on tradition. Before, you can go on, hey, you know what? They're lousy, but there are guys. We got guys who are good here, but you know what? That's fine. After that trade, things have changed. And to advocate for more seems pretty nuts and seems pretty out there. And I would argue if I was another owner, if I owned another football team, I go, guys, look at your own fan base. I mean, they're as downtrodden as they've been.
Well, the one of the chief arguments coming out of the NFL community is, do you want a GM who is potentially on the hot seat having the ability to mortgage your future in that regard? But here,
if you were another if you're another owner, because owners don't want to sit there and think they just hire and fire people willy-nilly, even though they do.
Yes, they
More
do.
on that coming up a little bit later on. They don't want to think that way. But if you're another owner, it's like, well, what did the general manager do to put themselves in that position? If you're going to sit there as an owner and allow them to trade away 5 years of the future, fine, that's on you. You go ahead and make that mistake. That's why I think it could actually happen. That's where I think you might be right about it.
I think why it can happen is because this would give NFL teams the opportunity to spread out the pain of a big trade. And the one thing we're starting to see more in the NFL are trades. The volume of trades that we have been seeing, it feels like they are more, and maybe it's just because they've been more of the impactful variety when it comes to, but it just feels like there's more wheeling and dealing going on in the NFL, which keeps that news cycle, that 24/7, 365 news cycle churning over and over and over. I mean, we got people on every podcast, every national show talking about how the Browns are trading Myles Garrett to X team when they can't do that right now. They might be able to do it next year or in subsequent years, but this year it's not realistic.
But because of history,
it gets clicks, it gets views, it gets reaction.
Well, because of history, it's not the craziest thing that's ever been said. Again, we talked to the Odell Beckham Jr. Trade into reality. We had the Sean Watson trade that happened for 3 first-round picks and all the craziness that happened there. So I think a lot of people go, well, if anybody's capable of being nuts, the Browns are capable of being nuts.
Right, because they're always the most desperate team in the room because, well, they are.
But my issue with it would be, again, I go back to being, if I were another owner, I'd say, I look at Cleveland, and I have some bubble here. Obviously, you do as well to some degree. But when we look at some of it, I go, you have a special fan base, and because of that trade and because of what happened after that trade, you shoved them a little bit more towards everybody else. You shoved them a little bit more towards all the other fans that we all think we're better than. That's where, like, when I look at some of the other fan base, I go, hey, they ain't got it like we got it.
Yeah, but you know what?
They don't have it. Like, they don't have the passion that we have. And when you do that and then you're unsuccessful afterwards, I think it takes that fan base, especially when you had basically 20 years of losing before that trade, you shove them more towards just like every other fan base. Like, I look at the Raiders, and I go, business-wise, this is going to be one of the dumber things I've ever said. Business-wise, they got it falling out of their pockets now. But you took one of the great fan bases of all time. You took one of the great traditions of all time, whether they were really successful all the time or not. You took one of the more fun fan bases in all of professional sports, and I'm talking all around the world.
Yeah.
And tradition and atmosphere, and you really just turned it into a vacation for everybody else to come to your stadium.
100%. I mean, they bounced between Vegas or I should say between Los Angeles and Oakland a couple of times before finally settling in Vegas. And I wanted to mention
maybe
this,
winning changes it, but I don't know. Go ahead.
I was on a Giants podcast with our sister station in New York.
WFAN.
And they are acting like the New York Giants are the Cleveland Browns. And I this is before the podcast started. We were having this conversation.
I don't know how much of a difference there is. There's a couple differences.
They got 4 trophies in the case.
Well, yeah, but they think about it differently. I'm thinking about it right now. I'm not talking about history.
No, I know, but I said, listen, you guys can't be bellyaching. You got 4 trophies in the case, okay? The Browns got mothballs in their trophy case. The Browns don't even have a trophy case.
We got something.
Point.
We got a trophy from '46 in there somewhere. It used to be right out there in the hallway. And
it's
then when
actually
you walked up, but they redid
it's like
it.
in Green Bay. The real trophy.
We had the 46 trophy that was there. You remember that? Somebody found it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
You mean you're still not moved by the 1964 trophy that Carmen Policy had made?
No, I'm not.
That had the modern downtown skyline in it.
First time I walked in there,
it was the most Cleveland Browns fake trophy ever.
The first time I did walk in there, I go, "Oh my God, it's a '64 trophy!" And I thank God I didn't say it out loud because on my way out, this is years ago. This is like 2009, and the first time I'm 2009, I'm 20. 20. I'm 22 at the time when I walked in the first time. And I'm like, oh, my God, it's a 64 trophy. And as I walked out, I go, what's the skyline do back? Oh, that's not the real trophy. No. I go, God, thank God I didn't say it out loud. Go ahead, Daryl.
That real trophy, believe it or not, is in Green Bay. It's in the Packers team museum.
Where it obviously should be.
Well, no, because it was like the Stanley Cup back then. And the Packers were the last ones to have it, so they're the ones that have that trophy.
Kidding.
No, I'm dead serious.
Okay.
I have a picture of it on my phone.
We can't get a replica?
Well, that would make too much sense. They should do that.
What were you saying to the Giants folks? I'm sorry, I bogged you down.
No, just, quit your belly aching. You got 4 Super Bowl championship trophies in your case. You don't get to compare yourself to Browns fans who have been suffering since 1964.
All right, not to the fan base, you're right, but I think with the current, I think once you get rid of like the main characters or they retire or whatever from the championship teams, then I think the clock starts running again.
Well, look at the Cavs, right? Where we are with them.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. And then you get compared, when you have had success, you get compared to the other ones. So, like, Jackson Dart is going to be compared to Eli Manning. Eli Manning was compared to Phil Simms. Anybody on defense is going to be compared to the 80s Giants defense.
And if we can ever find a quarterback here, be compared to Bernie and Brian Sipe and Otto Graham.
Like, I'm sorry, you're just going to have to answer the call of Gary reasons. That's the way that goes. But that's what it is to every fan base. What I point out, though, is that when you mortgage it, it's got to be for something special. But you also have to have something in the whole. And I think that's something they might have learned. And that's why I brought up the Myles Garrett scenario with it. Because it's not that I don't think that people are wrong. I just think they're early. Because it makes it much easier when you get rid of the Albatross contract coming up next year, and then you welcome in the albatross of because once the dead cap hit is at 55, it then goes to like 20 and then goes to like 6. It's much easier to take.
Yeah.
As the cap goes up, and I know I'm going to let you spout your opinion off about that coming up here in moments, but I think it becomes much easier to take. So as much as I've wanted to say for a long time, like, let's stop this conversation. He's a Cleveland Brown for life. If he continues at close to this clip, I don't know if he's going to get 23 sacks again this year, but if you continue close to this clip, like, this is a conversation that we have to have every offseason as long as they're under 500, Daryl. You know that. He's
the lone attraction that they have until they can find their franchise quarterback. It's Myles Garrett. He's the guy that's on all the renderings for the new dome, promoting the team. Like, he's the face of your franchise right now.